Guys, what's up? It is Doug, and welcome to another edition of Spooky Villages. Today, we're going to talk about the Madness Manor from Lemax, brand new for 2024. Hey, but before that, a little housekeeping here. And by the way, you might know the background here is a little bit different. I thought it'd be kind of fun to just film today this video in front of some of my crazy shelving units here. I've got my workshop with a bunch of pieces of my collection. It's a little bit I guess it's madness behind me here, so it kind of fits in the theming with the building we're going to talk about today. But one other thing here, for you folks on Patreon, you've seen this, but if not, I figured this is worth me, kind of talking about. I'm actually starting to write articles on Patreon, and if those of you who have watched me for a while have been to spookyvillages.com, I used to write articles there. It's been a long time. I actually started spookyvillages.com and then decided to get on YouTube because that's where it was at. But I really do like writing about Halloween villaging because it's easier for me also just to kind of hit certain topics where it can be tricky for a video. And I actually hope to post several times a week over there throughout the season here. So for the next couple of months, I'm going to be very active on Patreon. And what I'm also doing is every time I post a review video here, I'm posting sort of an additional part of the review, like a postscript over there where I go a little bit more into detail on the pros and cons as I see it, personally, the piece, how collectible do I think it is, and just I'm kind of doing a little bit of extra stuff over there as well. So check me out on Patreon if you haven't. If you are, thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. Here is Madness Manor, guys. Check this out. The box on it, it has the newer Michaels exclusive art because this is a Michaels building for this year. And we're going to talk about the box actually, specifically here. I don't really talk about the packaging much on here on this channel unless it, it actually warrants it. But this actually does warrant talking about it. So I've got the box open. I've actually already taken the building out here because I don't want it to fall out as I'm trying to show this on camera. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Shattering a building on camera here. So when I pull this out here, again, there's not much weight because the building's actually gone. But look, this is cardboard. And I am not familiar actually with Lemax doing this. I could be wrong, so apologies there if I am, but all right, with the box totally open here, you can actually see the inside of it here. So this molded cardboard, I mean, it's configured to the piece and it seems to protect it very good. Again, there's no damage or anything here. It seems to work, in this one as far as the protection goes. But I've not seen this type of packaging. Normally it's that, the foam that's molded around them. So it'll be interesting to see if this is what they go with here, going forward, maybe just on some buildings, I don't know. But I think it's worth talking about just to show you guys here that for me, this is a new thing. All right, guys, here is the Madness Manor. Let's go around here. We'll kind of go slow here, show you all around it. There's a lot of lighting, a lot of little details on this piece, and I love talking about a haunted house. Right here, you have your on-off switch. Now, there is no animation on this piece, but it does have a volume because there's a soundtrack. We'll talk about the sound here in a minute. And I will show you at the end of this video, I will show with it lit up going with the soundtrack. Because the soundtrack on this one actually does correspond to the lights. It's one of those type of buildings to where, even though there is no animation, there's sort of a little, I guess I call it storytelling. It's like environmental storytelling that's going on because different scenes will light up depending on what's going on the soundtrack. So I'll show you that at the end. Fit and finish on this is pretty decent. Size-wise, again, you can see here how it is next to me. It's a decent size one. It's a little bit bigger than like a normal trick-or-treat house. It's not quite the size of like one of the really big haunted houses, they've done recently, like the Ravens Manor or something like that. But decent enough size behind it here. And again, I think it's got a pretty good fit and finish, and the paint job on it is pretty solid. So let's show you what it looks like lit up. All right, so this is like a legit haunted house as far as like its monsters. This isn't like a trick-or-treat style or even realistic style house necessarily like you'd put more of a realistic village. It's got a lot of fanciful elements on it here. So you can see as as I'm playing the lighting here too, how the lighting kind of changes a little bit. The soundtrack goes along with it. It's it's like this girl is trying to draw you into the house. And then there's a bunch of internal scenes here, which we'll go through the internal scenes here in a moment and talk about it. But just in general, again, this is a very like fanciful, like monster style house. You have a lot of look at those big eyeballs that are on the side of it with like the mouths throughout it. It's a very, very uninviting house, let's say. Really, the whole of this house reminds me of like a bad dream, to where the house is like coming alive, trying to kill you. I mean, it doesn't really have those type of mouths and everything on it like you necessarily think like a house trying to eat you, but you can see that there are sort of like little mouthed elements with the facade with like sharp teeth in how it looks. I like those little details. This one would very much go with some of the classic pieces like that. Like the one I, always my go-to is the Nightmare on Oak Street, which is a classic Lemax Spooky Town piece, which is like a dream house. This one isn't quite as pronounced, and it's also not as bright. The colors here are a little bit more muted. That one has like crazy neon colors almost, but it does, jump out at me. That piece does, to where this would probably go with something like that, or especially if you're lucky enough to have a hungry tree house. Quick shout out to this piece too here, because this would go with it great. It's nice having all my stuff right behind me because I can just grab it off the shelf, but this is the trick-or-treater eating tree. Love this piece here, and this is the legit scary piece where it looks like the tree's eating the trick-or-treater. I love that kind of thing. It would go great with this house. This is a long retired piece though, so you kind of have to get lucky or probably pay up to get one of these, but it's one of the best accessories that Lemax has ever released in my opinion. So there is no animation on this piece, just some really, really nice lighting. And, the lighting, again, it makes a little more sense the way it's laid out whenever you have the, whenever you have the soundtrack going on here. It makes a little more sense. But you do not have to run the soundtrack on it. It looks really nicely because it's just lit and there's no mechanical bits on it. There's no noise or anything when you're running it silent. So that's a plus. I know a lot of folks, they don't like to run the animation because it can be noisy. Well, there's no noise here. And it's a very well lit piece. It kind of, it lights up. This kind of a theme also. This is one of the best themes in all of Halloween villaging. I mean, I don't think there's any shock to that. It's a haunted house, right? What gets more Halloween than that? So I love when Lemax, or every once in a while Department 56, they don't do them a lot anymore, it seems like, but Lemax, especially when they put their haunted houses out every year, because I feel like Lemax has been on a pretty good hot streak with their haunted houses in the last few years when they've done them. One trend that Lemax is keeping up that they've been doing recently with this building is the internal scenes, because there's 2 of them on there. You've got the front room that has these absolutely bonkers lighting going on there with the ghosts and like the zombies, and then you have another a smaller scene, but you've got the ghosts like with the book there. I really like how they do the internal scenes like that, and with the windows on the outside. I think it looks really, really sharp. I know a lot of folks like those internal scenes. All right, guys, that's Madness Manor. I love when Lemax does a good haunted house, and this is a good one. So before we get to the lights and sound of it, tease the next one, that's coming here, the next review video. We're going to do a little tending to our gardens. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for the Patreon supporters. And here it is with the lights and sound.
Don't be fooled. Don't hesitate. A seemingly sweet little girl luring you into the gate. That creepy feeling that someone's staring. Behind the curtain you see eyes glaring. An evil spirit that captured and banned her will steal your soul in Madness Manor.
Come on in. Don't be afraid. I need your help. Go on. Open the door and come inside.
She almost has them.
Yes. Soon we'll have enough souls to finally set us free.
Okay, let's see. Here it is. How to trap people and take souls 101. Perfect.
So still, flying games, until your body goes up in flames. So still, flying games, until your body goes up in flames.
Oh, the agony. How long must I dwell? More victims must be captured under her spell. Don't be fooled. Don't hesitate. A seemingly sweet little girl luring you into the gate. That creepy feeling that someone's staring. Behind the curtain you see eyes glaring. An evil spirit that captured and banned her will steal your soul in Madness Manor.